All right, so on this Mother's Day project right here, we've got this piece all routed, and we've got it sanded very nicely. This one is sanded all the way to 220 grit. And we want to take our top piece and mount it to our back piece. So we need to figure out a couple things. Number one is we need to figure out where our backs are going to be, where our tops are going to be, where our bottoms are going to be, so we can lay it out the right way. I definitely know that this here is going to be my back because it's my non-routed side. Now I need to pick my top or my bottom. And what I want to do is I want to sight down the edge of my board right here. And I'm looking for what's called the cup. And on this particular board, this one does not have a lot of cup. If I hold it up to the camera, can you see that in the view? If we take a look right here, this part, when we look right down this edge, the board is cupped this way. So this would be the hump or the hill, and this would be the valley right here. So it's kind of cupped like this. Maybe not as drastic as that. This one's pretty darn straight. But when we take a look down it, we can see that this one's just humped up a little bit. So this is our top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write on the back side here, top, with an arrow pointing up. That way I know that this here is my top. This piece over here we need to pick out, which is going to be our back, our front, and our top. So we know that this is our front because we're countersunk right here. Now we just need to figure out which side do we want to be, our top and our bottom. Well, our top we'll never see. Our bottom we will. So we want our prettiest side to be our bottom. This one here happens to have a chip, so this one's a good one to put top. So we're going to lock this in our vise right here with our top up and our back facing us. And we'll snug it up a little bit. We're going to find the center of this board here first. So we'll measure it. It's 20 inches. What's half of 20 inches?
10.
So we'll put a line of 10 inches. And we'll square this line down right here. And I like to put a C for center line. We'll go ahead and snug this up a little bit. When I put this part in my vise right here, I want you guys to bring your project over to it, and I want you to put it so that it's at the same height as the top of your project, just like so. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the center of this back piece. And this one happens to measure 24 inches. What's half of 24?
12.
Make a line of 12. And we're just going to draw this one on the back side. And we'll put a C on that center line. Now all that we have to do is match up our center line to center line. And that'll give us the same amount hanging on both sides. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a scrap piece. You can use a partner's project, and we're going to put that right out here. We're then going to lay our piece on top. See how that's at the same height? This is important so that when we're nailing this thing into our project later on, in case we didn't have it snug enough in our vise, if this thing moves down a little bit, all right, we have a little bit of wiggle room so that this can kind of move with it. If it's flush with the table, it'll just keep driving down into the vise. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to lay out, we're going to put 3 nails in this. One around here, and one around here. So the one there in the middle is going to be at our center. We're going to go nice and gently with our line. So draw it at the center there. And then what we could do is we could take our square, and we will lay our square right flush with our end right here. And we'll make a little line on the other side of square. That's about 1.5 inches in. I'll do the same thing over here. At these particular lines right, or spots right here, we're going to draw a slight line there, slight line here. Who can tell me, how thick is this board right here? How thick was this?
3/4 of an inch.
It was 3/4 of an inch. And we want to put the nail right down through the center of this right here. What's the center of 3/4?
3/8.
How do you know that?
Multiply the denominator.
Double the denominator is the way we like to say it. So we're going to come over here, we're going to draw a line in 3/8 of an inch. And now we're ready to go ahead and drill this. So here's how I like to do it. I'm not going to tell you guys to drill this over top of this, just in case it's not 100% centered. We are going to use these 4D nails, which happen to be 1.5 inches long. And since we want to drill it at this diameter, we're going to use a nail as our drill bit. Now nails are soft metal. We're going to go ahead and cut the head off of this nail. So if we were to drop this nail in, our drill with our nail in, this is just going to bend. If it was a hardened drill bit, what would happen to that?
Go right there.
It would break. The bit would snap in half. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up our chuck right here, and we're going to put this in. And we're going to go through a 3/4 inch thick piece of material. So we'll take this here, and we'll have our nail sticking out 3/4 of an inch. Now we'll snug this up. The reason why I want it to be 3/4 of an inch is now I can drill this thing right over top of my table, and I'm not going to go through and into my piece underneath. So would you like to go ahead and drill this? Is that going to have a nice sharp point already on it? All right, I'm going to let you hold that.
Which side am I doing? This one?
We're going to drill here, here, and here. Nice and straight. Put your left hand right up there. There you go. Nice and easy. Good. I'll do this one over here next. Over here next. Now we definitely wouldn't want to touch that nail that we have in there because it's going to be real warm. All right, not bad. You drilled it on a slight angle, but it was in the angle where it's still going to go into our board, not out the side. So in the next video, we're going to show you guys how to go ahead and install this piece on. We'll get to that very shortly. So we've successfully drilled these holes into the top of our project. We've confirmed that we've got our top up with the center line back here. We have it in our vise so that it's the same height as this right here. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you guys how to install this. A couple scrap pieces of wood. Center lines match up real nice. And what's really going to hold this project together is going to be our glue. And we're just going to use the nails to help it stay just a smidgen tight and keep it from moving until the glue dries. So when we put the glue on this here, we're going to start about 1/2 inch in, and we're going to keep the tip flat, and we're going to run it down. We're going to end about 1/2 inch from the end right there. If we wanted to get fancy, we could just take our finger, and I'm letting my finger glide over the top of this project. I'm not pressing, just letting it glide. Wipe it off on the table. So we are ready to go ahead and start putting this on. So what I like to do is I like to bring it up like this, get the center line exactly where it goes, and plop it down. When we go ahead and nail this on, we're going to start down here, we're going to work our way this way. Now, because this is hanging over the vise a little bit, this is a little bit springy, we want to make sure that we're locked in our vise pretty tight. Here's one of your nails that you're going to go ahead and put in. That'll sit right in the hole like so. Since it's a great idea to use a helper on this project right here, I'm going to help you hold it. I'm going to make sure it's good on our line. I'm going to make sure it's flush where we're nailing it. I don't necessarily care where we're flush down here quite yet, but where we're nailing it right here is going to be very important. So I'll put my glasses on. You're going to hold that nail there with your left hand, yeah. Nice and easy. And that's good right there. We'll leave it up a smidgen. A lot of times it's a common mistake is if you guys drilled the holes on a slight angle, you guys will try to hold the nail. The nail is going to follow the hole that you drilled, so you just let that nail go in exactly where it wants to go. All right, let's go ahead and grab another nail, and we're going to do this one right here. I'll hold it flush for you. Good. Now, do you see how that one nailed in a lot easier because we have a nice solid hole? Let's go ahead and do this one down here. I'll hold it flush for you. Good. Now, why do you think that we don't want to hit the hammer all the way down on this project?
You don't want to dent it.
Yeah, it's going to leave some marks in our wood, right? And it's going to look really unprofessional. So what we're going to use is we're going to use a nail set. Now I'll show you the proper technique on this one right here, and then we'll take our project out of the vise and we'll nail it over this solid table. But when we hold a nail set, I prefer to hold the nail set like this. I use these 4 fingers spread out over the whole thing. You want to make sure we don't drive this through our pinky down here on this. But what I do is I hold it just like this, and I'm pressing down on this. Go ahead and lift that nail set up a little bit. But,
This?
yeah. So I'm holding it down, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm not just setting it on there. I'm actually holding it down. And when we go and we hit this, all right, I'll choke up on the hammer a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're just going to hit it right here one time. Okay? That's slightly below the surface right there. These set very easy, so I didn't even need to hit it that hard. I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the vise for you. And we want to have a nice solid area to nail on over the table here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to let you try that one right there. There you go. And a little lighter of a hit now. A little bit more. We want it about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch below the surface, and that looks very nice right there. Let's go ahead and we'll do this one right here. I'll hold it for you. Woo! Oh yeah. One hit wonder there. You got her good. So let's take a look at this. Hopefully we can see this in the video. Slightly below the surface. That way we can go ahead later on and put a little bit of wood putty in here and sand it down smooth. So these look very nice. Now one thing that we want to do before we go ahead and put this project away, we can see we have some glue right here. And we can also see these got a little bit of a gap. So we'll take a pair of clamps and we'll clamp it right here. And we'll clamp it right here. That looks pretty decent. I'm going to try to clamp it a little bit differently. I'm having a little bit of issues. So we'll clamp it a little bit more towards center this way. Put some hurt into it. There we go. Got a little bit of glue squeezed out there. So I like the way that looks. And we'll do the same thing over here. Oh yeah. And we can see we got some glue squeezed out over here. Now, that's going to be a nightmare to sand off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our wet paper towel, it's folded up, and we're going to wipe this down through here like this. So I wipe it one time, then I fold the paper towel, and I'll wipe it a second time. And then I'll take this, I'll fold it a separate direction. I can fold it once more. Now the purpose of the wet paper towel is the water, since this glue is water-based, is water soluble, so it breaks it down, and then the paper towel wipes it off. We could also take a screwdriver and run it down through there if we had a little spot where we could still see some glue, but I'm not seeing any right here. I am seeing a smidgen over here, so we'd want to wipe this off. And we do see a little bit down the back, even though the back's not super crucial. It's very easy to take care of the problem right now because we won't have to do any real sanding on this later. And got nothing over there. How long do you think we should leave these clamps on for?
24 hours.
We could probably get away with probably about an hour or two, but since the periods are only 40 minutes, we'd leave them on overnight. If I needed them later on in the day, I could take them off. But in a nutshell, that's very nice. If we take a look, the center lines are matched up real good. It's good and flush. Might be off by 128th over here, but that's plenty fine. I'm feeling pretty positive about this. All right, we'll try to get most of the class done here next week.